Hi, this tutorial is on Song of the Wind. And when we start a brand new piece from the beginning, it's nice to look at what we do know rather than think, okay, we're starting from scratch and there are new techniques and here's what I'm going to have to learn. But let's look at what we already know about this piece because we've already played it in our previous two pieces. And it starts off with that same ascending scale fragment that you had in Lightly Row. The only difference is it's a little quicker now. And then we also have that same descending scale, A major scale fragment that we did in Twinkle Twinkle. So we've already basically have played many of these notes in the same order even. We just have the added technique of having to place the fingers more quickly. So now we have to become a little more agile with the left hand. And then there are a couple of other new techniques that are introduced in Song of the Wind. And one is hopping the finger over, okay, from the same finger from one string to another, because now we have this leap, this interval leap of a fifth from the third finger on the D string to the third finger on the third finger on the A string to third finger on the E string, and it goes quickly. So I'm going to start from the beginning, and I'll get to that spot right there. So at this point, I have to play my third finger on the A string, it's a D, and I have to hop it over quickly to the E string, okay? And because there's not a lot of time, I can't make that motion very big. If I lift my finger too high, then I'm going to be late on the next note. And then I'm also going to run the risk of beating my finger with the bow, that my bow is going to get to the E string faster than my finger does, in which case you're going to hear an extra note. You'll hear that open E sound. So we have to get there very quickly and efficiently. So to be efficient, we always want to minimize the amount of movement, the amount of motion that we're using. So we want to, even though we're hopping, we want that arc, the hop to be absolutely minimal, almost straight across. If you can imagine really that you're just lifting your finger just enough to release pressure, and then you're going straight across, okay? That is how we're going to get there with enough time that we can articulate that note well. So we're going to start here in the third measure, and we're going to play it slowly. Now, if you'll notice in your music, you have the first finger, there's a little one with a line underneath those notes. So that means hold the first finger down. And this makes perfect sense because you play that F sharp and you're going to go right back to it. So why not still have it there? If you lift it up and then you have to find it again, okay, then again, there's less security. The intonation becomes less sure, less secure, because you're opening yourself up to placing the finger incorrectly. So you just played it, keep it down. But remember, and it's really not stated in the book, but even though we're keeping our first finger in place, we're not pressing it down, okay? We're just holding its spot. So as soon as I play my third finger, that first finger, it's just touching the E string. It's not pressing down, okay? I really want to stress that because I really want to avoid your hand getting tight and tense. So that's the little technique there. Now, there's a new bow technique. It's called a retake, okay? We pick the bow up and we place it back to the beginning of the previous bow stroke. So we're on a down bow. We pick it up so we can go down again. And I have a tutorial on retakes. It's in the beginning violin lesson sequence. So watch that tutorial on retakes. But what I want to stress about retaking the bow is that the retake, the picking the bow up and going back to the frog, you can also do retakes on an up bow. But when we pick it up and replace it, that really is a follow-through motion. It's not a brand new motion. So you don't end the note and then think, oh, I'm going to pick my bow up and I'm going to put it back, okay? Because then we might be late and we'll get out of rhythmic sync. And later on in this piece, there's a quick retake. So this becomes very important. So I want you to think of replacing the bow, picking the bow back up, placing it back near your hand as a follow-through motion to the down bow itself. So down and replace. Now it's nice because you have a beat rest in the music, so it gives you that time. Replace. Replace. Okay, and then just to keep on this train of thought, there's a small little retake, so I'm going to keep playing and show you where that is. Right there. So now we don't have quite as much time. We don't have a beat rest so that we have ample time to get back. So now that really becomes an issue that this down bow is really just the beginning of an entire circular motion. So down, it's a circle. It's a circle and we go back. And you can hear that while it's in the air, it's creating space in the note. That's okay. That's a phrase marking. That's natural. It's like a breath. If you were singing the song, that would be the place where you would take a breath. And the reason we do these retakes is so that we can align strong beats, down beats, heavier beats with down bows. It's a conventional practice. The down bow has more gravity to the movement because we are going with gravity. It has more strength to the sound than an up bow. So we very, very frequently as violinists, we make our bowings work so that down beats and down bows often coincide. And that's what we're doing in this piece here. So the next issue is the kind of bow stroke that we're using, the kind of articulation. This is a staccato stroke. There are little dots on these eighth notes. That means the eighth notes need to be short. So we wouldn't be playing them in this style. This is the détaché style. Okay, a détaché continues the sound. We need to make the sound a little shorter. So we need a little bit more energy at the beginning of each bow stroke. So we have an initial amount of energy at the down bow and a release. And take this at a tempo where you can manage this. It might be slower than my tempo, and that's absolutely fine. There is no requisite for tempo here. So the most important thing is the beginning articulation, the energy at the beginning of the note, and the release of the energy at the end. So now I'm like a guitarist, or I'm like a pianist. I hear a decay to the sound. Retake. Retake. Now in this descending passage, our fingers are required to move a little faster. This string crossing is faster than the one in Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. We had a little bit more time to prepare. But now this comes quick. So you have to get that third finger down quickly before your bow starts the attack of that note, so that you get a good, clean articulation. And now we finally get a longer note. Okay, so that is Song of the Wind.